Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Let's watch.
And how was the lighting in that area?
There's lights in the hallway, but we're standing in an open doorway that the wall is all windows. Sunlight's coming through, and you could operate in this light. There's that much light.
Did you notice any marks on her face when you were speaking with her?
No.
All right, so to catch you up, there was a long cross-examination of Johnny Depp's older sister. She was, I'm just going to say, resistant to the questions. There were several objections and approaching of the bench, and I'm guessing that the Amber Heard lawyer was expressing frustration that the witness wasn't cooperating. I don't know the circumstances for Johnny Depp's sister. Of course, she's protective of him, but there were certain questions where I was like, it's pretty obvious what the answer is. Like there was a text exchange between the sister and Johnny Depp in which she was being questioned about, and they had shown it on the display, and it said, "Stop drinking, stop Coke, stop Coke." Stop, and those three right in a row. Stop drinking, and another text, stop Coke, and another text, stop Coke. And when they kept asking her questions like, what are you referring to? And she's like, I don't know what I was referring to. Clearly, you're trying to get him to stop using cocaine, right? And she says, I don't know what I meant by that. I don't know I don't remember making that text. And you're like, well, what possible other reason would it be? There are other possibilities, I suppose, like stop drinking Coke, but of course that's ridiculous. And so I don't know, there was a number of moments like that, and slogging through that again reminds me of sitting in courtrooms in my early career and just being like so bored and just thinking like, can we just, but they got to go through the process. Anyway, so there was all that, and the sister was being asked about bias, I think, because the legal team seemed to be suggesting that the sister, really loved Vanessa, Johnny Depp's previous wife, and didn't like Amber and was against her. They didn't, to me, demonstrate any kind of bias in that way. But the sister really didn't have much to say because she wasn't there. She never witnessed violence. I don't even know if she even witnessed him intoxicated, on other substances. She did mention pills, I think opiates and cocaine and alcohol. So now we have Johnny Depp's friend from before he was famous. They were musicians together. They remained friends. And then later on, Johnny Depp, as he was starting to make money, I believe in the 90s, became a patron to him because he was an artist and paid for his bills, gave him a home, gave him an art studio, and said, I just want you to make art and live in my building. The friend seems like a really sweet guy, very relatable guy. And it's kind of a breath of fresh air because the sister I don't think she was very comfortable. What they're asking about now is the incident, a very important incident in the case, which is when there was alleged violence between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp's team alleges that Amber Heard, the pattern of her violence, threw a glass or some sort of glass thing at Johnny Depp, and it actually severed his finger. The Amber Heard team will say that it was in self-defense or something like this. So they're trying to get witness accounts, and the friend was there shortly after. He had arrived in the hallway outside of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard residence afterwards and had seen the wine on the ground and had heard like maybe there was an incident. The next day, they are changing the locks, and he again runs into Amber Heard, but not Johnny Depp and other people in the hallway. Amber Heard and others are telling the friend that they are changing the locks because Johnny Depp was violent. And there's some questions as to whether or not that violence occurred or if Amber Heard made it up. And one of the key pieces of evidence that Johnny Depp's team is trying to highlight is that a number of people observed Amber Heard directly after or within 24 hours of the alleged violence that she experienced, she alleges. Then, I think 6 days later, she produces pictures of wounds on her face. And if she had wounds on her face 6 days later or some time later, then you would think that they would be present the next day. So they're asking the friend, did you see any wounds on her face? And he just said no. And he knows that's what he's going to be asked, and he's very clear to the jury that there was a lot of light and he was very close to her, so there was nothing obstructing his view. So that's important information. Someone was right there observing her, and that could be convincing to the jury. Now, possible factors to think about when we hear testimony like this. One is that he's a friend of Johnny Depp. Not only a friend, but deeply in debt to Johnny Depp, and deeply, you could say, dependent. I don't know about currently, like in 2022, but he owes Johnny Depp a lot. So that can involve our conscious decisions and our subconscious perceptions and decisions regarding how we would testify in a situation like this. So if, for example, he was one of Amber Heard's friends and he said that he saw no wounds on her face, then it would be hard not to take his word. But do I think he's lying? No, I don't. But we just have to think about that and understand that there are subconscious motivations as well, which brings me to my second point, which is memory. Eyewitness accounts are notoriously not reliable, yet we rely on them in court proceedings and in life to a high degree. We've done many studies on this. It's not hard to study. In fact, one of the more prominent research figures on this very topic is I can't remember her name. She's at the University of Washington here in Seattle, my alma mater. Elizabeth Loftus is her name, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's the one. Anyway, there's a lot of evidence demonstrating that not only are our memories about events like this bad, but they also can be altered over time. We tend to believe that memories are events that get recorded in our brain, and then as we remember them, we access that file like a computer. But that's not the way memories work. Every time we remember something, we are reconstructing it and then re-narrativizing it. We're creating it again out of a number of different associations, which adds a lot of opportunity for every time you remember something for it to become more and more distorted. It is as if you do that telephone game when you're in a circle, you know, when you're in elementary school, demonstrating how things can change, rumors can change over time, and other kinds of analogies to things. But you say a sentence to one person and then they repeat the sentence and you just go around the room, and by the time it gets to the other side, it's always completely different than the original statement, at least the majority of the time. Well, that's what memory is like. It's not always like that. It's not like every time you remember something, it is necessarily degraded or altered, but it definitely has that possibility. So for everyone that is talking about their memories, we have to consider that, because for me, when I watch this as a citizen, I'm not involved in this case, I'm curious as to what really happened. And those are just thoughts that go through my mind. Could he have seen a wound, one, and just either ignored it because he didn't want to see it, because we all understand that there's denial, or said, that doesn't look like a wound, that's probably makeup or something. I don't know if this happened, but it's absolutely possible, and I would not be surprised if a friend of Johnny Depp, seeing Amber Heard in that moment, hearing about Johnny Depp being violent, might have even registered a bruise on her face. Maybe not a big, obviously it's with a gash or there's lots of blood. It'd be hard not to recognize that or remember that. But I could imagine someone seeing that bruise and then going like, well, I don't believe Johnny Depp would be violent because he's a good person and he would never do that. And then the next day, or even later that day, as you're remembering it, maybe you're telling a friend like, yeah, it was weird, today, changing the locks, and they talked about violence. And then the friend asks, did you see any kind of bruises on Amber Heard's face? And this memory is now being recalled, but it's filtered through the desire not to have seen that bruise, and then the bruise just goes away. That happens, and then you just keep remembering that false memory over and over again.
Did you see any bruises?
No.
Did you see any redness?
No.
Did you notice any swelling?
No.
Did it look like Miss Heard was wearing any makeup?
No.
Had you seen her wearing makeup before?
Yeah.
And you had seen her not wearing makeup before?
Yeah, I see.
Okay, so that is a good point. I think they're trying to get out ahead of cross-examination. That, okay, she had bruises, but she didn't want to alarm people, and so she covered them up. There's the paparazzi and that sort of thing. So it's not surprising you couldn't see it because she covered up with makeup. So they're asking him, did you notice any makeup? And he says, no, I did not notice any makeup. And then they ask, have you ever seen her in makeup before? And he says, yes, I've definitely seen her in makeup before. Yeah, I think that if someone had a bruise on a certain part of their face and they were good at makeup, you would not notice that they were using makeup. I've seen people use makeup. In fact, rather recently, as you know, I went to the dermatologist, and I actually have 2 wounds. Stacy, my wife, I started, when I would sit down to do videos, I'd look at my face, because I don't look at my face in the mirror ever. Making these videos makes me hyper aware of like, that's what my face looks like. Anyway, so I sit down, I'm like, oh my God, because a number of days ago, it was very prominent. So I asked my wife I was like, do you have makeup for this sort of thing? And she's like, yeah. And so she busts it out, she puts it on. I looked at myself in the camera, and this one mainly, because this one looked really gross. And so she put makeup on that, and it virtually disappeared on camera.
So I'm looking, and I turn around, get on the other side. We're in the doorway. So I'm on this side with the light shining this way from the doorway with the lights above, but the sunshine. And she's got her face out like this, looking, to show me. And I'm looking, and I inspect the face. I'm looking at her forehead. I'm looking at the side of her eye. I'm looking at her cheek. I'm looking at her chin. I'm looking at the other side of the face. I'm looking at the whole thing. And I don't see anything.
By the way, if you hear someone kind of breathing in the background, it's not me. I actually mute my microphone when we're watching. I'll get an echo sound if I don't do that. But someone's very close to the microphone, I think chewing gum and breathing. It's bothersome to me. But anyway, this is a lot more compelling, obviously, that he saw Amber shortly after, asked what happened, and she said Johnny Depp threw a phone at her, and he says where, and she sticks her face out and says, indicating over in this region. He, according to his testimony, deeply inspected her face everywhere, tried to get some really good light, got very close, and saw no indication of injury. So if she had makeup covering it up, she would have said so, right, in that moment. She was, well, you can't see it because I put makeup on. So that's notable, obviously.
I don't see anything I don't see a cut, a bruise, swelling, redness. It's just Amber's face that she's going like this and showing me. So I'm not seeing anything. I back up and I'm making a joke. I make a joke going, well, I don't see anything, but maybe all the beauty from one side of your face to the other side of the face is outshining everything, so I can't see anything. And she's laughed and she's, smiled. And I just looked at everybody and said, hey, it sounds nuts.
Interesting. So again, according to his testimony, he actually said to her, I don't see anything, but then he made a joke saying maybe the beauty from the other side of the face went over to the other and covered it up or something. And then according to his testimony, she laughed at that. So if that's even remotely close to what happened, you would think that if there were the sort of wounds I think we will see later when they show pictures, those would have not only been present at this moment, but worse, right? Now, does that mean that Amber Heard was not abused? No, because there are times when people are being abused and they know or they think they're not going to be believed or taken seriously, and so they will lie as a way of trying to get people to respond.
What was her reaction when you kissed her on that side of the face?
Nothing.
Did she flinch?
No.
All right, another data point. According to his testimony, he kissed her on the side of the face that she claimed was a wound, and she didn't have a reaction to that.
And how long did that conversation last?
3 minutes.
Okay, whoever is chewing gum into a microphone in that courtroom, they got to stop that. For those of you with misophonia, I have 20% version of it. It's like, why? And the person doing it is also, they keep breathing and sighing. They're chewing their gum and then they're like, chew, chew, chew. Or maybe that's two people. One person is chewing gum, another person is sighing every 3 seconds. Just 3 more inches from the microphone and we'd be fine. Anyway, so he's talking about the next day. So there was the day of the incident. He talked to Amber the next day. And then another day that he talked to Amber for a few minutes. And again, according to him, with good lighting and according to him, no makeup. Again, saw no indication of injury to her face.
You yourself are not familiar with what type of makeup Amber Heard uses on a daily basis?
I don't know what she uses on a daily basis.
Okay, so I'll catch you up on what I didn't show. They asked about additional instances in which the friend had seen Amber Heard, and there were other events shortly after the alleged violence on May 21st where he did not see any indication of bruising or injury. He was asked if he saw makeup. He said absolutely not. She just looked like Amber. And so according to his testimony, she didn't wear makeup at all every single time that she saw him, even when he saw her when she was out and about on the town. Who knows? Maybe Amber Heard doesn't wear makeup. But I was guessing that Cross was going to attack that. But that time, according to him, she said, look, this is where the injury is. And she didn't say, I covered it up with makeup so you can't see it. She thought it would be able to be seen.
Ms. Heard was there. Were you aware she was on her way to somebody else's birthday party? Not yours, but somebody else's that day.
No,
Can you tell me what her hairstyle was that day?
it's just down.
Down as in?
Just regular. How she has it up now. She's got some kind of hairstyle, but no, she was no hair down, regular, no makeup, just hanging.
Well, when you say no makeup, you don't know she was not wearing makeup, correct?
For a fact?
Correct.
No,
And you don't know whether she had applied Amica cream, correct?
no.
Right. That's what I was thinking. When he was saying every time he saw her, she was not wearing makeup, I thought, well, there's obvious makeup, obviously, and then there is very subtle makeup, and sometimes people will wear very subtle makeup.
When you had to move out of the penthouse to go to Sweetser, do you recall Mr. Depp telling you that this was Amber's fault and referring to her as a cunt?
Can I read this
Yes,
thing
please.
first so that
Yes,
way I
please.
see what's going on?
So to catch you up, Amber Heard's legal team are asking Johnny Depp's friend if he recalls getting texts from Johnny Depp with language from Johnny Depp saying that, Johnny Depp was texting his friend saying, I hope my wife, Amber Heard, is dead in a car or something, and using foul language to describe Amber Heard. Okay, it's interesting. The texts are pretty strong language. People get in fights with their partners, but it's particular if someone is saying to a friend, I hope my wife is found dead in a trunk of a car. I don't know how many people would take it that far, right? We can have little flash thoughts that are intrusive when we're really upset along those lines, potentially, particularly if you went through trauma like Johnny Depp did. But it's another thing to actually say it and type it and send it to someone. It doesn't indicate he's abusive, but it certainly paints a picture. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.